My name is Elisa, and today I am going to tell you a story that changed my life. A story that marked me forever, a story that broke me, a story that I would have preferred never to live, but that is nevertheless part of me. For a long time I hesitated to talk about it, to put into words what I felt, what I experienced. 'Cause it is not just a love story. It is a story of passion, illusion, pain, and regrets. And today I want to share it with you. Maybe somewhere someone will understand. Maybe someone, by listening to my story, will avoid making the same mistakes as me. Because love, when it is misplaced, can become a prison, an obsession, a wound that never really heals. It all started 3 years ago. I was 22 years old, with a stable and fulfilling life. I was in my final year of university, and I was working part-time in a cafe to pay for my studies and my apartment. I loved my life, I loved routine. I was a serious, responsible girl who didn't take unnecessary risks. I had always believed that love would come to me naturally, that it would knock on my door at the right time with the right person. But what I didn't know yet was that sometimes, love is nothing like what you imagine. It was one autumn day that everything changed. That day he entered the cafe where I worked, and without knowing it, he turned my life upside down. His name was Samuel. Tall, charismatic. He had a presence that left no one indifferent. He wasn't like the other customers. He didn't order in a hurry, he took his time. He observed, he analyzed, he waited. When I came to take his order, he looked at me with that smirk, that smile that I later understood could send any woman into his world. "You seem in a hurry," he said in a calm, almost amused voice. I smiled politely. "It's work. What if I told you to slow down a little? Just 5 minutes." I raised an eyebrow. Who was he to tell me that? But something about him already intrigued me. That day, I didn't yet know that those 5 minutes would become hours, days, entire nights spent thinking about him. The days passed, and Samuel came back, again and again. He always found an excuse to talk to me. He asked questions about me, he wanted to know my tastes, my dreams, my fears. He looked at me with a disturbing intensity, as if he could see right through me. I should have been wary. I should have understood that this kind of man never comes without consequences. But at the time I was just a naive girl who still believed in beautiful stories. Little by little he got closer. He never rushed me, he took his time, like a predator who knows exactly when to strike. He sent me messages late at night, he made me laugh. He listened to me as if I were the only person who mattered. He knew what to say, how to say it. He played with me in a way that I didn't yet understand. Then, one evening, everything changed. We were outside walking after work. It was cool, the wind was blowing gently. We were talking about everything and nothing, and at one point he put his hand on mine. Just for a moment. Simple touch. But it was enough to make my heart race like never before. I knew at that moment that I was lost. From that moment on, everything happened very quickly. Our exchanges became more intense, deeper. He called me late at night. He told me things that no one else knew about him. He told me about his past, his wounds, his doubts. He made me feel special, unique. He made me believe that I was different from the others, that I was the one who could understand him, help him, change him. I was in love. Madly. Desperately. But what I didn't know was that Samuel wasn't a man like the others. He was an illusion, a mirage. He was the kind of man who enters your life, turns it upside down, and disappears without warning. One evening he disappeared. No more messages, no more calls. A whole week without news. My heart was in turmoil, my thoughts too. I was lost. Then he came back, like nothing had happened. Sorry, I needed some air. I should have walked away then. I should have realized he was playing with me. But I was already too attached, too in love. One night, while we were at a bar, a woman came in. A woman who gave him an icy look before leaving. I felt him tense up. "Who is it?" I asked. He looked away. "Nobody." But his silence spoke volumes. I did my own investigation, and I discovered the unthinkable. He was already with someone. A woman he had been seeing for years. I was his game, his escape. When I confronted him, he didn't even try to deny it. "I warned you, Elisa. I'm not made for love." My world collapsed. Cut ties. I tried to forget him. But how do you forget someone who has left a mark on your soul? Months passed, and sometimes I would catch his gaze in the distance. He didn't come back. He didn't try to apologize. 'Cause he knew. He knew I was already broken. Today, I know I should have left much sooner. That I lost myself in him. That I loved a man who never loved me back. And that's the worst pain. Loving someone who was never afraid of losing you. Because sometimes the person you love the most is also the one who hurts you the most. In conclusion, this significant experience ended my story abruptly and unexpectedly. The length of 32 centimeters symbolized a breaking point, marking the end of a chapter of my life. This event left an indelible mark on my memory.